What's up, everyone? Welcome to another exciting edition of Be More. As you know, this is the show or segment where we talk all about being wiser, smarter, better with your videos and live streams. And really, you should do this in life, but I know video and live stream, so this is what I talk about. Listen, we've got a couple of great segments for you today that we're going to talk about. The first being Essence Fest, and we'll talk right about that after this.
Close the doors, walk across the corridor. We got something to show you. Media is our repertoire.
Well, usually when I talk about these issues, sometimes I'm by myself, sometimes I'm with a very important Mediascope person, Be More person, and her name would happen to be Shawanna Kennedy. Shawanna, show yourself.
Hello. I am excited to be here. Yes, I am Shawanna Kennedy. I am graced to be the video director for Kennedy Media, where we talk all things and we talk about what that looks like for you to create and increase your video visibility. I get to help entrepreneurs and business owners to do just that. How are we increasing our impact on the people that we are graced that they want to listen in to whatever it is that we may have to say. And I'm fortunate enough to not only have one show, but two shows on the Indie Soup Media Network. I get to be the amazing host of You First. That's all things self-care, mental well-being, personal development, and empowerment. But then there is Back to Back, where I come back with C-Suite, a CEO chat. And I get to talk to amazing CEOs, multiple 6 and 7 figures from around the globe, where we talk about the good, the bad, and sometimes ugly of what it looks and feel like to be a CEO. But I'm excited to be a part of this amazing conversation with you, Dr. Tachi, because, hey, you're somebody that we need to pay attention to and listen to as well.
Well, thank you for that. Nobody plugs like Shawanna Kennedy Media. It's one word now. So nobody plugs like Shawanna. Thank you again for coming on, because I always think of you whenever I have an issue to talk about, because I know that you will have some very important insight. Today, we're starting with Essence, the festival. That's what they should call it from now, Essence. Or the festival. I think it has more mystique, and they may need to rebrand themselves anyway after what has happened recently. So let me give you a little bit of intel about what has happened with the Essence Festival. That was I think it's been 2 weeks ago now that Essence Festival took place in New Orleans. It takes place every year. They started in I keep messing up. I can't remember 97 or 99, but it started in the late 90s. And it has been a mainstay for the city of New Orleans. People fly in from all over. It brings in millions of dollars to the New Orleans economy. And it is apparently the place to be. I have never been. I don't know if you've been, Shawanna.
No, I have not had the opportunity, but when we look and we listen, because I do kind of keep my ear in and know folks who have not only attended, but they're also been vendors. So having have that conversation, it gives you more of an actual insight and sometimes a look behind the scenes of what's really going on there. Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is the thing that I noticed, and I've noticed all over social media. Some people were saying that this year's Essence Festival felt different. And I'm like, well, how did it feel different? Full disclosure, neither one of us were there this year. So when we're speaking about this from a media perspective, from a marketing perspective, from a social media perspective, because we were not boots on the ground. However, we're compiling all the things that we've seen to make an assessment. Okay. So before you get in the comments with nonsense, let me just say that there, because it won't be tolerated here. It won't. So we want to let you know and be fully transparent in terms of what we know. So people were saying it felt different. I don't know. Were you saying the same thing or seeing the same thing?
I was definitely seeing the same thing. However, having eyes on other people who this was their first experience, being able to watch them to still go in and bask. I'll say actually bask in the glow of what that looked and felt like for them, being newcomers and even new presenters on the platform. So that's the one thing where I choose to still cheer cheer for them having their opportunity in the spotlight when you know that you are doing amazing things. It's awesome, not only just at Essence, when then it is rewarded publicly when other people have been taking note of what it is that you're doing and the impact that you get. So don't take any opportunity that people want to show you off, that you don't take it an opportunity to do that. And so I cheer for people that have their opportunity, because hey, you could be next in line and that very next person. So yeah, I'm not a hater in that regard. So I'd be excited for people. Yeah.
Well, let's preface this conversation by saying not everyone had a negative experience at Essence. There were some people, as Shawanna mentioned, that this was their first time and they had an amazing time because there was nothing to compare it to, right? So for them, this was great. There were some people who did not have as good of a time because they noted some snafus with timing of performances, etc. And compared to years past, for them, it was a problem. Here is where I look at all of this and I'm like, really, this is the best we can deliberate upon with everything that's going on. So let's take it back a little bit so that the audience has a little bit of history. Essence at one point was no longer Black owned. It had fallen into the hand or was acquired by a company that was not Black owned. Now, I'll put below, but I can't remember if it was venture capital.
I honestly believe that is who it was. Yes.
Okay, so we'll put that there. So I believe it was venture capital, as Shawanna says, and I believe her, that acquired it. So it was no longer Black owned at a point. So then in 2018, it was became acquired again under Black ownership. Now I think I'm going to mess his name up. I think it's Richelieu Dennis.
I'm not going to touch it.
Yes, so I will put his name at the bottom, and I apologize if I'm butchering your name. Now, he is of Sierra Leonean not parentage, but grandparentage, right? So he's second generation. And if I'm mistaken, I'm going to put a note at the bottom so that we have this. So the thing is that he is Black, but his parent or his heritage is directly from Africa. It's continental African. So he acquired it. His company acquired it, which means, well, they acquired Essence, right? Or Essence Holdings, which is the magazine, which is also Essence Festival. So since 2018, this has been owned by that company, right? And I don't recall any issues per se then. Mind you, same ownership. But for some reason, the conversation has turned to the fact that, oh, he's not African American, that Essence Fest is supposed to be a celebration of African American culture, and they were trying too hard to include the African in this. Well, first of all, you know I'm about to say something when I say first of all. First of all, that's part of the problem we have. The delineation between who is a continental African, who is a Caribbean African, and who is African American. All Africans, okay? Let's be clear there. So now this is yet another division or a divisive tool to separate. And so you see a lot of banter on social media about this from people who may have been there, but then people who did not go and have no business speaking on things. And some people that I'm disappointed in because they have very large followings on YouTube, on Instagram. And when they say something, people tend to listen. So lesson number one out of this is, if you have a platform, please research and be clear on what you're saying before you spew it to the public, because chances are they will believe you if you have a large following. So one particular individual has a very large following on YouTube, and she didn't even bother to get the place that he was from right. She was like, I think he's Nigerian or something like that. Pretend it was you You know, it's that, well, I don't know. I think she's, I don't know, maybe Black American or something like that. You would be so annoyed and insulted, but it's okay for you to do it to other people. I think that it was overly divisive, and with everything that's going on now, you choose to boil it down to jambalaya versus jollof and then complain about it. Get out of here. Your thought?
What that made me think about Dr. Tachi too. When you know on the news, when there is something going on or different stories and they need filler, I think they needed something to poke at. It's kind of like finding a cat or a dog story for the news. And we like, you telling me with all of the things that you could have talked about with what's going on in today's world, you want to show us a cat story. And it's like, we have to make sure that because we do have the eyes and the ears of people, because I'm all about being seen and being heard. But what are we saying? Is it some things that is going to help us be uplifted, no matter what culture, no matter what race, no matter what nationality? It's like, how can we help? How can we be a part of the solution instead of actually adding fuel to the fire where there's really honestly no need to do that? Because they know that there was some fails, right? And I'm pretty sure that they had some come to Jesus moments with the team after it was done.
Okay, so they were on the Breakfast Club, and Mr. Dennis did take responsibility for what went wrong. He said it is not on the vendors, it is not on the performers, that is us. And in fact, on social media, I believe it was, they even put, "We've heard you." And they're wanting to do better because they do realize that this is, and I do agree, this is a large festival that is supposed to be a celebration of African-American culture, music, all of that, right? But I also think I'm looking at this from a business aspect as well. Now, people are acting as if he said, well, you know what? I will also make it the festival of Black and Lithuanian culture. Aha! They're acting like that they said, we're also going to bring in Russian culture. That's not what happened, right? It is African-American culture is rich and wonderful, but it's a subset of all African culture. So within the the African experience, you've got African-American, you've got continental African, you've got Caribbean, and all the different types of things, because the culture in New Orleans is one of my favorite places, is quite different than the culture you would find among Black people in Chicago, among Black people in Birmingham, Alabama. It's different. So there are subsets, and it's okay. And I think it's okay for all of it to be celebrated. Definitely. But I think that this whole thing was unnecessarily divisive for no reason. And the social media personalities that are talking about this, talking out of the back of their necks with no knowledge, no foresight, and clickbaity, as you said. They're trying, it's the news cycle, right? And they're trying to be clickbaity. So we want you to watch this. So I'm going to put the most horrific. How is that helping? I think that was my point. How is this helping? It's not helping.
What it does is it damages the trust. When
Yeah.
we think about Black owned, it's not just a title, it's a trust. And when we think about other businesses, and that's the thing too, when they be like, hey, that's why I use other people. This is another thing that would hurt folks wanting to take the opportunity to do business with your own, right? And it's like I said again, with being a part of the solution, that's what people have to remember. We're supposed to be a part of the solution. How can we do this? Because we're definitely, let me say this for the people in the back, we are greater together. We are greater together. We're stronger together.
Mhm.
And if you haven't noticed, we need to be working more together. We cannot get around it. No man is an island, even though, yes, you came, I'm believing, unless you're a twin, you came out alone. You know, it was with the assistance and, you know, the grace of God. But you came out alone, but we cannot operate in this world and be our best selves without someone helping us while we make our way and navigate our way through this life. So we should be a part of the solution. So yeah, we have to watch how we're hurting because, hey, I say we don't just, we just get by with stuff, but we don't get away. Trust me, the things that you're doing, it may not come back to you till 5-10 years from now. You do not get away. You just simply are getting by. So remember that in all things that you do.
T-shirt moment. You don't get away with things. You just get by.
It's coming again.
It's coming back around. It's coming back around. Okay, so moving on from that end of it, I didn't, again, the pitting of the Africans against African Americans through this. Make better use of your time, people. Stop it. I'm saying stop it. Make better use of your time. There are other things you could be talking about. The country is crumbling down around our ears, and you're choosing to debate jambalaya over jollof. Now, again, I know that's something that they did, but you're mad about it. Who cares? As a jollof connoisseur, I can tell you I love it all. And it all emanated from Senegal, Chebujen. That's the original jollof. That and all the other jollofs from West Africa and other places, it broke off. You have a version of that type of red rice in the Dominican Republic and in Spanish cultures, Caribbean Spanish cultures. And then in the English-speaking Caribbean, you've got that as well. But guess what? Jambalaya is a variation of Chebujen. Stop it, people. Let's be better. Can we do that? And, again, as you were saying, this whole thing waters down the message and messes with the branding. It's something that they have to look at, and they're going to have to say, listen, people have been used to it being this type of festival for so long. Are the changes we're trying to make going to be acceptable? Is it warranted? Who did they ask when they did these things? Did they do focus groups with festival goers who have gone past and said, would you be open to having this? What do you think about this? Those types of things. So you really have to survey the people that are your bread and butter. I will say that there. To make sweeping changes without basically getting the opinions of the people who support you, it doesn't make any sense. And I think that's part of the reason it fell flat. Your thoughts?
No, I agree with what you're saying. And to have that, it's really when we think about our business and our brand, it's like really having something as your primary focus or offer. And you like, is that what the people really need or really want?
Mm-hmm.
That, when you just said bread and butter, what is it that when we think about brand visibility, what is it that your brand is really asking for right now? Are you really on target? Have you really tested the market? Have you really pulled in 5, 10, 20 people to say, hey, if I brought this, have you taken a poll in your business to say, at this stage, in this season, would this work for you? Would you be a part of the beta? These are all questions that we have to ask if we want to succeed in our businesses and with our brands, because this is what I'll say too. It's not just that moment. We are our brands 365 days a year. It's not just the weekend. It's not just that one day. It's not when you're just doing a webinar. You are your brand. And that's why I do appreciate vulnerability. I do appreciate people allowing us to have access to watch them along their journeys, because then you can't appreciate when you see, hey, a background update. You see some things that are leveling up, and you could say, I remember when, in a good way, and say they've come a long way. Can people say that about your business, your brand? If you're thinking about it, these are things that you need to have that checklist to say, am I in tune with my people? Is this what they want? And it's not just what feel good to me. It is what the people will tune into, what the people will buy into, because I say, not what's that whole know, like, and trust. I say know, like, and love me, because if they love Shawanna, then when Shawanna is doing different things that are still true and authentic to who I am the brand. So they're like, okay, what's up with Shawanna? What is Shawanna doing in her business outside of video, online visibility? Anybody that know me, I'm definitely a advocate for putting yourself first. I'll say it, never above your creator, whoever you may believe in. But then because God has created us as a gift, we have to remember who the gift is on the inside of us, so that that thing we can do what we need to do the 365 days a year, that no matter what God trusts us with our hand, it can show up and we make the necessary course corrections and be accountable when things do fall through the cracks. Yeah.
And I think that's what he was attempting to do by going on the Breakfast Club and letting people know, okay, we failed in some way, shape, or form. This is not the first time a brand has had issues with things. Let's go all the way back. Remember, like when we were little and stuff, classic Coke. versus Coke. What was it? They had classic Coke and then they had the new Coke, right? And they changed the formula. And people were like, if you don't go back into the kitchen and put Coke the way it was.
Right. This was like even now, they still try the different flavors, but they do it for a limited time, and they actually do it in limited areas. They don't just push it out. So we have to be mindful of that.
You have to be mindful. You have to be mindful. So they have the original Coca-Cola, right? And then they'll add flavors. They have the vanilla Coke. They have the Coke with lime. They have cherry Coke. They've got all sorts of different things. And even if you go to some places, they have the machines that have different types of Coke, right? The different flavors you can add. But they always still have the classic Coke. The failure that they had was that they changed everything. So there was no classic. There was no original. They said, we're just changing it to begin with. Well, who asked you? Who asked you to change it, stupid? Put it back. That's basically what people were like. And so they learned from that mistake. They said, we've heard you. We're putting it back. Okay, we're putting it back the way it was. So if we look at Essence in this sense, you need to have some focus groups. You need to, and you have people's email addresses. Okay, your list is enviable. Your email list is probably the envy of everyone. So get in touch with people. Ask them to take these surveys. Ask them, and I'm sure I haven't been. You all have been. You can tell me. Do you get a survey post? Do you get something like, "What do you think about this? How did this go for you? And I guess that's the thing that they need to do if they're not doing it. So a post survey to gauge the experience and to adjust the things that need to be adjusting so that they can preserve the sanctity of the Essence brand and keep people coming back. And then 2, you influencers who speak out of the back of your neck about these things, stop doing that. Make sure that you are having a fruitful, useful discourse that will solve the problem. You're just stirring the pot. You're not solving the problem with this. So those are 2 things that I thought that came out of Essence that I really wanted to hit on. Oh, there is another thing. So the involvement, this community involvement thing, I was hearing from a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, from some people, particularly on social media, about the lack of local vendors. I don't know how true that was. I didn't get a chance to go through the vendor list for this year, but that was the story that was being told. So provided that's something that was true or an issue, I think that is something that needs to be addressed. Even if it is a national festival, you choose to have a festival in a town that has a local economy. The best way to add to that local economy is by including local vendors, right? Now, the vendors can't just be anybody. They have to be able to handle the amount of people that would be at Essence, have enough product, be able to competently talk about their services. So simply because you are a New Orleans business does not give you the right to be in the festival. You have to meet the criteria. But as much as they possibly can, I think they should make an extra effort to include those vendors that support the New Orleans economy as well. What do you think?
You're spot on, because people, they won't come, and then people beget people. Make you think about church, right? You know, church, good old church members, they'd be like, hey, you got to come over here, you got to come over here. It's with anything within a community. It's like, what is in that community? What will make me want to be a part? What will make me want to come and see, right? Perfect. You already know the other talk we're about to have, and make me want to talk about that. But however, it's, what are the people saying? What are those literal boots on the ground that's saying, no, you got to get here. If you live here, you really don't have an excuse. Make your way, come across town. What is the community saying that would really fuel that fire to say you got to be here, or make sure you want to be there next year? Because like I said, it's not just for a weekend. It's not just for a day. We work on the businesses and brands 365 days a year. Now they have got to do a lot of work to make sure whenever this comes back around for 2026, that they make that noise that was so bright a few weeks ago, that be a thing of the past. And you're saying, no, I'm telling you, their marketing is going to have to be off the scale to get people to want to come to 2026. Not that they're not going to come. I don't mean that at all.
Right.
Yes, for the community, for the vendors to even say, let me submit. It's all of the things for the local economy right there to say, why would I want to be a part because of this one thing? Because some things can put a bad taste in people's mouths. And that's why you can go and spend years, 10, 20 years, just like you can have $1 million home and a penny match could burn it down. And so we have to remember that, what's that look and feel like in our businesses.
Exactly. And it has to be worth it for me as a vendor. I vended for many years.
Yeah, counting the cost. Count up the cost.
Exactly. Counting up the cost. And it's not like I'm saying this and I haven't been at a major event. Twice I vended at the Tom Joyner family reunion, which is a major event as well. And so you have to make, as a vendor, you have to see whether or not this is going to be worth the whatever it is, $200, $1,000, whatever the cost may be for the event. It has to be worth it to you. And so as such, these organizations, you've got to, it can't just be, oh, well, we can make money by offering vendor space. You have to make it fruitful. It has to, it can't just be about the promise of people that will be there, or as many people that will be there. How many other people are doing what you do, right? So that could be a good thing if you have a lot. It could be a bad thing if you have a lot. Are the people that are coming going to be receptive? Because one thing I know with, for example, the Tom Joyner family reunion, people were coming because it was in Orlando. They were coming to go to Disney and to partake in those types of things. Like at the time they were doing, remember the live morning show, the Sky Show that they used to do? They did it live from Orlando. And so that was something that was a draw as well. People wanted to do that. What people weren't trying to do was carry a gold 7-foot elephant in their case. So if that's the type of thing you sell, that may not be the venue, or you need to see how can I adjust what I sell to meet that audience. And so as vendors, I think sometimes you have to look at that as well. Did you do your due diligence to make sure that this particular event is going to work for you and your business? Did you get your paperwork in on time so that they know that you're actually interested? Were you following up? Because again, we can put it on the organization, but there are so many people that want to vend at these events that sometimes something may slip through. I'm not making that as an excuse, but that's why you have to follow up and do your due diligence and make sure they know your name, because it's your brand. Just saying. Okay, well, I think there was one other thing I wanted to talk about with that, but I think that we have exhausted Essence Festival. Is there anything else you want to say when it comes to video, when it comes to branding related to Essence?
No, I mean, you've done an amazing job. It's just, and because of what we get to experience all the time on Be More and the conversations that Dr. Tachi has concerning what that looks like for in the media, it is just be mindful, do your due diligence. You've already heard the amazing list that she's already created, but just know that you want your business to be unforgettable, right? So that it doesn't matter if you're a 1-year event, people are already planning, or when you do your sale, your upsell from that event, you've already sold out for the next event for the next year based on what the experience that people received. So what is it? What is it saying about people they'll forget what you've done, but they need to know how you made them feel. What is that experience to make them say, you know what, I'm about to give my deposit right now. I'm going to figure out my schedule later because I will be here no matter what it looks and feel like. So just be unforgettable in your business, but people got to see you too, because if they don't know you, they don't know you, and they definitely won't buy from you. And how can they trust you if they never see or hear you?
Absolutely. And take this opportunity wherever you are, whether you're an attendee or what the case may be, solidify your brand, make sure that your brand has wings, right? After you get the attention from Essence and there, where does it end there?
No, you should actually already have tons of things. When I think about social media, when I even think about reality TV, it's like for some of the people, or even shows where there's money involved and you win a prize at the end, I think about all those folks that take the time to go away for the few weeks or the month or however long the taping is. Have you set up your social media for, even if you don't win, there's still a win-win, because then somebody somewhere has fallen in love. The hope is that they've fallen in love with your personality. So then that can jumpstart your influencer relationship for UGC, right? For that user-generated information. What does that look like? So when you're signing up for some of these things, what does your back end look like? So when you get this flood of calls or emails, and that you are ready in some type of way, of course, start where you are, but you've got to be more mindful besides just willy-nilly when you show up online. It's like you got to be on purpose. It has to be for purpose. Yes, we want to have fun. Yes, people want to see silly stuff. Yes, they want to see the authentic you, but then there should be a business side to you to say, how am I going to make the most of this attention? Because this good attention, let me say that. So just be mindful of what those things look like on your back end.
Great. So to sum up, basically, number one, if you are an influencer, a social media personality, make sure that you actually have all of the facts and that what you're putting out there is adding to the conversation rather than detracting and dividing. We noticed that with Essence, so do better when it comes to these things. If you are, for example, an attendee and you're there and you want to be an influencer or start creating UGC, you should definitely be documenting and doing it in a way that is different from all the other 10 million people that will be talking about Essence Festival. How can I do this differently? How can I be different, right? And then if you're a business and you're affiliated with Essence as a vendor, for example, what are you doing to ensure that your brand is memorable? How are you following up? Have you even done the due diligence to ensure that this is the right thing for you? For Essence, they've already owned up to the fact that they've made some mistakes with this and they're looking to correct them. One thing, if they're not already doing this, there should be a post survey to find out the experiences of the attendees. Definitely. There should be, whenever you want to make changes, did you ask, how would you feel about X, Y, and Z? So that doesn't mean you don't add things, because you don't need people's permission to add to your entity. However, keep in mind that you only exist because you've got an audience. As such, keep the audience front and center, top of mind, in the front of your mind when you're planning these events. So these are lessons for Essence, definitely. And City of New Orleans, good for you. Continue to thrive and grow. Well, this has definitely been interesting. We've got a part 2, not of this, but we're going to talk about another interesting topic. And hopefully all of this conversation was fun for you. You got some information, and put what you think in the chat. We'd love to hear what you have to say about this whole thing. And especially if you went to Essence, let us know your experience. Hopefully all of this helps you to be more with your videos and live streams, and in life, I might add. Until next time, cheers.
Here for you. Feel snow when you emotionally broke.